So today we're going to be covering some common issues people are having with the Bronco or its engines or its options. So today we're covering all the issues that people have been having with the Bronco. We're going to be looking at a list that covers over 5 issues that people have been having with the Bronco, and I'm going to be covering their solutions. So hi, welcome back. I'm Johnny from Johnny's Car Care and Reviews, and off screen here, this is your co-host, Winston, here to give his little bit of input. Now, let's just put the pedal to the metal, jump right in, and get right to it. We're going to be talking about delays. We're going to be talking about, getting in and out of the vehicle, sound system issues, and a whole lot more. So here we go. Number 1 of the over 5 things that have been bothering people with the Bronco. So the first thing, it's really been common lately. People have been talking about the sound system. So with the sound system, what's the issue people are having? Well, they're saying if you don't get the Bang & Olufsen sound system, you're not getting a whole lot of noise from the front because there aren't speakers in those removable doors, of course. You wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want to remove your doors and then be removing your speakers. So there's no speakers in those front doors. Now, here is an awesome solution. There's going to be an aftermarket. I'm going to try to include already the photo of one company that is going to have something pretty sweet coming right up. And that is a sound bar for your roof. So your back roof beam, which is always in place, your back roof beam, there's a sound system and there'll be multiple sound bars coming out. But right now looks like there's already one in the works. That's going to give you a big sound bar. Now, a lot of us have sound bars on our TVs, and I think a lot of us can attest that a sound bar in front of a TV offers excellent sound for an entire living room, and you can even animate a party on your entire first floor with some of these sound bars. So sound, really, there's your solution, and that's what this whole video is about. It's about looking at what the problems are that people are having with the Bronco and finding what the solutions are. So number 2, well, some of you might feel that the Bronco is actually missing some presence or height. Come on, really? Okay, well, I can kind of get it. I did have the Outer Banks in my actual hands, and the Outer Banks without a Sasquatch package is huge. It has a lot of presence. You sit in it and you feel really high up. Now, Winston's gonna love it because when we pull that top back, he loves the wind in his little hair, and he also likes to be surprisingly high up, and that's why whenever I do these videos, he comes rushing in and jumps on top of me. Now, the Outer Banks, it already is huge without the Sasquatch package, but I get it. For the Badlands, which is already higher than an Outer Banks, I'm already looking at either a 1 or 2 inch lift kit. I'd love to hear your comments on whether you think I should get a 1 or 2 inch lift kit on a Badlands. My Badlands, that's on the way, but here's a solution to this. If you want your Bronco to have more presence, you've got really multiple solutions. You've got Zone Off-Road that already has a 1 and 2 inch lift kit, and I've got a whole video covering this in depth, but essentially when you put a 1 inch lift or a 2 inch lift on an F-150, there's never any issues with your brake lines being overextended. There's never any issues with the drive shaft. Really, everything is A-okay. It all passes the test, so I'm sure with the Bronco adding 1 inch lift or spacer at the top of your shock tower, it's not going to cause any issues. And Zone Off-Road is actually making it from the same material, sort of the nylon glass fiber mix that Ford's using on the F-150 work tailgate. So there shouldn't be any issues for reliability. I really do not suggest putting on doing your homemade hockey puck or out of whatever material you find and make yourself at home. They're only $60, but I've got a whole video covering that spacer. So let's just move right along. If you want more presence or height on your Bronco, it's not going to be an issue, and a lot of this can come from wanting to put on bigger tires. And of course, if you do put up bigger tires on your Bronco and you don't have a Wild Track or Sasquatch, keep in mind the Wild Track to get 35s takes off the front crash beam as well as the crash beam that's right behind the front tires. So the 2 crash beams that surround the tire, you need to take those off. By the way, that's just going to be a 4-bolt process, so isn't an issue at all. So there's your solution. Number 3 problem that people seem to be having Well, this is a big one, and I've got several videos covering this more in depth, but I'll cover it right here in the next, 30 seconds or so. No hardtop Broncos seem to be available, and that seems, it's the impression people are getting. Ford is getting hardtops from Webasto. And Webasto, once again, is the company supplying these hardtops for Ford. And, I want to touch on this one because in my last video that I brought out about 5 days ago, early July, I had some comments saying, the factory isn't going to be the second Webasto factory won't be running until 2023. I just want to clarify this. First of all, if Webasto moves forward with a second factory in the Detroit area, it's going to be ready and helping production for hardtops in 2022. But it is an if. There's no guarantee. There's no confirmed news. You can go check that out on Ford Authority, but there's no confirmed news. I'll try to post it on either side here, the information, the proof, because I always think it's great. If you got something to say, please add them in the comments section. And it is absolutely great when we can, add a little internet link or say where we got our information from. I'm totally okay with being wrong, but I like to know why, because otherwise then I do extra research to see if there's anything new that I missed from the last time I did my research. So really, two solutions for the whole hardtop issue. First of all, while Ford has declined to say exact build numbers for 2021 and 2022 models, a while back they were saying that they had said that they had hoped for 80,000 for 2021, and there was a hope, and this didn't directly come from Ford, but there was a hope that there'd be 160,000 for 2022. Now that's something coming from Mr. Fioroni. It's from Ford Authority. Essentially, he works for a company that sort of looks at all the math behind this. And anyways, I'll put that info right on the side, but they're hoping for 160,000 2022s. And what does that really mean? Well, that means that a lot of our hardtop issues will get resolved if you just wait. But waiting isn't the only solution, because Webasto currently is going to be making around 100 hardtops. If they have a second factory open up, well, that definitely is going to fix the problem. But you could, yes, be waiting quite a while for a hardtop. So the whole idea basically that you can't have a Bronco for 2.5 or 3 years is wrong, because the second solution is that you just need to go with a soft top. Right now, currently, there aren't any soft top delays being caused by a lack of soft tops. The soft tops are fine. Okay, so if you do make your swap to a soft top, the good news there is, according to Ford, you have until July 16th to do this. And this is probably a deadline, I'm hoping, only so that you're considered for the September builds. And that would make a lot of sense, because Ford, for the last while, has been giving people build dates 30 to 45 days before they're actually going to be built. So I really do think, I said this last week, I figured that it'd be this week or next that Ford would be, filling up and allotting the September month. So you have until July 16th to make a soft top swap. So basically, if you haven't been given a VIN number yet, you can make this swap. It's not going to cause you any issues with where you are on the waiting list for your build. And if anything, if you go soft top when other people don't, it's going to help you jump ahead. Now, I also have a full video covering this, because my build jumped ahead because I switched to a soft top. The only issue is I did it in early June. So the good news is I'm getting built in August. However, it's only builds as of September 1st that are going to get the full hardtop prep kit. Now, what is the hardtop prep kit? Well, it's the electrical for the rear defrost, it's the electrical for your back wiper, and also, of course, the plumbing for that wiper. And let's not forget the switches in the dash. So that's a full kit, from switches in the dash to all the electrical and plumbing going to the back. You get that. And what I would recommend as part of this solution is get an aftermarket top later on, because Ford's spare tops are only going to be available as of 2023 from what Ford is telling us thus far. So you really got to think aftermarket, and I'm thinking aftermarket. I don't think we'll have any hard tops available for this winter, but I am thinking spring or or summer, and I'm inclined more to think, we'll be shopping for hardtops in June or July of next year. So 10 to 12 months, and we've got some good hardtop options. If you're wondering price, well, you can just look at current Jeep Wrangler hardtops and what they're selling for. Okay, problem 4, and I get this one. The Bronco. It's hard to get into. Now, there are grab handles on the sides of each dash, driver and passenger, and Ford put them there to help you get in. But that's not the ultimate solution, especially if you've got, a bad back or a bad knee. I have both, and I'm not, 6'4", slightly under 6 foot. So I found getting into the Outer Banks a bit of an issue, and I think that it would have been more of an issue if there's just no sidebars at all or side steps. You probably need a side step on this. However, here's the issue: if you're off-roading and you have a side step that's a little weak, it's gonna get beaten up. So let's hope the aftermarket soon offers us either RTR or 4-wheel parts or zone off-road. Let's hope one of these companies, and I'm sure they will very soon, offer us side steps that are, off-road proof. So really made of some thick metal. It'll be worth the extra money that you spend because, I've seen a lot of F-150s with side steps that get crushed. They don't look great. Then you've got to replace them. And what's more, you might even want to consider, putting on a kind of like that material that goes into a spray bed liner material. So kind of like this hard rocker guard material. You'll probably want to cover the sidebars with that if they don't already come covered. Now let's hope that they connect to the frame, because when they connect to the bottom of the truck's panels, we've seen on F-150s, with time, they can become a little loose from all the weight going on and off. And of course, then there's always the rust issue. Those are all long-term problems. For now, what I can say is that Ford's side steps are good. It's only worth going in the aftermarket if you're really going to get some off-road proof ones. Or if Ford decides to add, to their 198 accessories, if they kick it up just a little over 200, maybe they'll be offering us some side steps that are off-road proof. Now, little side note, make sure they're over 3 inches wide, and really make sure ideally they're 5 and even 6 inches wide, because, if you're dealing with any winters, I've slidden off sidebars. So if you don't want to be, if you don't want those side steps to cause you to, slip, slide, and fall, and injure your back, I do suggest getting something that's 5 inches or wider. You're gonna thank me for that one. Okay, 5th issue with the Ford Bronco, and I personally don't get this one, but people are saying they're having an issue with the fact that there's no front solid axle. Well, if you're one of those people, don't worry about it. The aftermarket is going to create something. However, I love the fact that the Bronco has independent front suspension. I think that's what makes it, I'm going to be testing it out when I get mine, but I am positive on some, main roads, and my main roads, it's almost like light off-roading in certain spots. I'm sure that independent front suspension is going to be keeping the vehicle from jolting all over the place, because when you're a solid axle, whatever, let's say your passenger wheel eats, the whole vehicle has to absorb it, and it passes through the entire vehicle. So the whole front end can jitter around, shake around. And having that independent front suspension is a huge benefit. And then, of course, when you're worried about off-road articulation, well, that's why they made the Badlands, and you have that stabilizer bar disconnect, which is both electronic and hydraulic. So that kind of gives you the best of both worlds. It gives you all the comfort you could ever want and more. And it's also going to give you the articulation you want off-roading. Okay, number 6. Not a whole lot of people have been thinking about this, but this is one issue I had, and this is part of the reason why I was somewhat happy to go to the soft top, because, well, soft top, you just unclip 2 handles, you push it back, and you're ready to roll. And then when it starts raining, well, you can close it just as quickly and just as easily. However, if you do get a hard top, or if you're considering, do I go soft top, do I go hard top? Here's the thing with the hard top. You got to take it off. And, well, when you take it off, if you leave it in your garage, there's going to be 2 issues. Whether you leave it outside or in your garage, Taking it off is a process. It's a two-person process. And if you don't lay it down very gently, vibration, jolting can cause those windows to break. It happens with Jeep owners, and it's actually happened to someone I know. So here's something to think about. Get either a manual winch or get an electronic winch. So, they've got some great lifts for Jeeps. They're going to have them obviously for Broncos. Not a problem. You just, connect your anchors, and you can just lift the roof right off, and then you can either store it on your ceiling, your roof, your hardtop, or you can store your hardtop against a wall. And there's also manual transporters that you can kind of just push around. So those are things that you should be considering in shopping before your Bronco shows up. And it's a solution to the whole hardtop storage issue. Now, you don't want to leave your hardtop just right on the garage floor because, one, there's the whole issue of breaking windows, people bumping into it, and you don't want to leave it outside in the grass where laying it down, probably won't get jolted because, the grass absorbs. If someone's going to steal your hardtop, these things are a hot commodity. You're going to get your hardtop stolen. So don't leave that hardtop outside, even if you live in the countryside. Number 7. So speaking of theft on the last point, number 7, the whole point is theft. The Broncos, there's already been one stolen in Canada. That I learned watching All Terrain Nation just last night. So if any of you don't follow All Terrain Nation, by the way, David Boyle on All Terrain Nation brings us some awesome information. So like and subscribe to his channel if you haven't already done that. And actually, he brought up the point of theft last night. I recommend a tracking device to be added to the vehicle. And a good tracking device that doesn't disconnect as soon as you disconnect the vehicle's battery. Now, these things I think people are getting so excited about these Broncos that the last time I was this excited about getting something with wheels was my first bike. And unfortunately with our first bike, well, it was pretty cool. You had a bike lock and you could lock that pretty much anywhere. Now, unfortunately, there's no locking system that really works for the Bronco. When you're off-roading, of course, you could always lock it to a tree, but then who's going to steal your Bronco when you're out in the middle of the woods? So the Bronco theft is an issue. It'll probably be more of an issue than even leaving your bike unlocked, unless you're living in a major city. Then bikes get stolen all the time. But we need to be thinking about theft on the Bronco, and I think the best solution really is that tracker. Okay, number 8. Some have real issues with the reliability of the 2.3 liter or 2.7 liter. And they say, they're not going to get a Bronco unless it has a V8 in it or whatnot, just because of reliability. Now, I am going to reference because, this is a huge topic and I've done about 4 videos on it, titled, Why Would You Get? What's Wrong with the 2.3 liter and What's Wrong with the V6? So I've got entire videos covering that subject. But just to really quickly resume them, I really think the issues with the 2.3 liter are resolved. There's a head gasket issue. That's resolved. The 2.7 liter, originally it was only direct injection, so there could be carbon buildup. That's resolved because it's direct injection and port injection now. And there is also, for the 2.7 liter, the whole issue of the plastic oil pan which leaked. That was an issue in 2015, and it was resolved in 2018. Now, I can't promise you that the Bronco isn't going to come with a plastic oil pan. And if it does, it's not a simple plastic oil pan. It's going to be, a mixed material. It's going to be plastic and something else. So it's going to be a composite material. But what I can tell you is there are solutions. First of all, you can always go with the bash bars underneath your Bronco, and then your oil pan is completely protected. Now, of course, if you're off-roading and you don't have the bash plates, well, bad idea. But you can also look at companies. I'm just going to look at here. They're called Spectra Premium Industries. They're just one example of a company that makes, oil pans for the 2.7 liter out of metal. Because it's big, thick metal, it's $317 Canadian, but with free shipping. So, when there's a will, there's a way, and there's your solution for, what many people are having with the 2.7 liter. They just automatically assume it's going to have, a cheap plastic oil pan, that this thing's going to leak like it did on some F-150s back in 2015. The leaking issue is resolved. But, if you don't trust me and you don't believe me, well, and you want a Bronco, well, just get a metal oil pan, problem solved. But ideally, right now, F-150s do have a composite oil pan on their 2.7 liters, and that's what the Bronco should be getting. So it's, it's a sturdy oil pan, but if you want, something that's completely unbreakable off-road, well, go with the bash plates and just switch the oil pan to a metal oil pan. Now, of course, before you disagree with me about the reliability of the 2.3 liter and 2.7 liter, it would be great if you went and watched my full videos covering what the problems with these engines are, because there I use, more quotes and I go more in depth into the issue. But what I can tell you is the 2.3 liter, to resume it, is now a reliable engine, and the 2.7 liter is also a great engine. And, for those of you that are having issues thinking that a 4-cylinder and a 6-cylinder can't go off-roading, well, remember, the 4-cylinder, when you go with a manual, has the crawl gear, and you're getting a 94.75 to 1 crawl gear ratio. That means you have all sorts of torque and power on the extreme low end. So I'm convinced that the 2.3 liter is going to be great at slow off-roading, and videos are starting to come out to prove that. Now the 2.7 liter, of course, you're with an automatic, so you're getting not quite as good of gear ratio, but this thing has a ton of low-end torque. It's not going to be an issue off-roading, whether you're going fast off-roading or slow, a slow crawl. You've got a great engine for off-roading right there. Okay, finally, on a final quick note, there is the soft top thickness issue. Now, I've covered this in a video titled, problems or issues with the soft top. I do a full review right there, but, I have found, and I'll try to include it in this video, the little 12-second clip, it's only one layer thick, the soft top. So I'm suspecting that when you go, more around 80 miles per hour, if you do drive 80 miles per hour, there is going to be some vibration noise. If you are running bigger tires, well, you probably will never hear it because you're just going to hear the tires anyways. But if, you're running a base model on 32 inches, those tires are going to be, really very silent. And I think you are going to hear a bit of the top. I don't think it's much of an issue. I never hear the top in my Mustang, but it's not one layer thick. So if this does become an issue, like I think it will be, and I think we're going to start hearing about it more in YouTube videos, here's my simple solution. Of course, you can try to get the aftermarket hardtop, or really even an aftermarket soft top that might be better made, but I think it's actually going to be easier to put in an order for a 2022 as soon as we have the official colors. I'll try to put some unofficial colors here on the side, but as soon as we get those special editions coming out and the colors, and you're able to make an order and a reservation for a 2022 or a 2023 if you prefer to run your 2021 longer, or if you end up with a 2022, put in an order. Because here's two options. If you've leased your Bronco, I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to find someone very easily to take over your lease. And you know what? You're probably going to be able to ask for a cash incentive. So you can probably, let's say you've run it 12 months and your lease cost you, whatever it may cost you, depending on the model you're looking at, $5,000 to $8,000. I think there's going to be people willing to pay $3,000 or even $4,000 to have your lease, to get to finish your lease. Now, that means it's going to be I'm certain it's going to be really easy to swap Broncos. Here is another option. If you're on purchase, well, I think the resale of this is going to be really good. And if you have financed, I'm pretty sure that in a year, 12 months down the road, your Bronco is going to be worth your amount owing or more. So it's not going to be a painful experience to switch. And if it is, well, don't switch. What are you going to be out? Your deposit. So let's say you put down a $100 deposit at your dealer and you order either a 2022 or a 2023, especially if you've gone soft top and you end up not liking it. Well, I think it's going to be very easy to swap. And if it's not, down the road, you find out, the deal doesn't work for me. I'm losing too much on the Bronco. I really don't think that's going to be the case. But if it is, what's You know, $100 is $100, yes, but that's like $20 back in the 1990s. It's not the end of the world. So I hope this video has been very helpful. I hope that, you know, puts to rest some issues and concerns you've had with the Broncos. I hope these are good solutions. Please, if you have other problems with the Bronco, mention them in the comments section. I very well might make a follow-up video. And if you have solutions, awesome. You know, we're a community here. We're all helping each other out, and some of the best solutions are coming from the comments section. And just before we wrap up, a special thank you for the comments section. And I just want to talk really quickly, upcoming videos. I'd like to cover what's coming down the road for battery technology, because I'm really wondering if electric vehicles right now are, if you get one, you know, I want to ask the question, is it too soon? Because there's some amazing technology coming down the road around 2024, 2025. One example of that is aluminum ion batteries, which can charge an iPhone in 10 seconds. It's an incredible technology. You're getting more range out of that. And that's, you know, inventions coming out of a university in Australia. So I'd love to do a video on that, but I'd like to know if there's any interest from our community to know about this, because I do think Broncos down the road are going to be hybrid, and I think, you know, one day, not that far, probably Gen 2, I think we'll probably have an electric Bronco offering. But I'd like to ask the question and really look at what the current technology is versus what's down the road, to ask the question, you know, is it too soon to get an electric vehicle? Or in other words, should you wait 4 or 5 years? Now, I also want to cover wheel spacers, because wheel spacers are really popular on F-150s. I do see this as a trend coming to Broncos, but I have wheel spacers on both my Mustangs. It can be done right, it can be done wrong, and I'd like to ask the question, you know, sort of have a life versus look, because spacers could have cost me my life yesterday. And I'd like to cover a whole discussion on spacers, compare the two Mustangs. But is that something that's going to interest you? If so, put it down in the comments section. In the meantime, I wish you all more cars and more power, and I do hope you get to put the pedal to the metal this week. Winston's off sleeping in the corner, so sorry our co-host can't say bye, but have a good one.